Hello and welcome back to this channel. So in today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to paint a simple papaya fruit with watercolor brushes in Adobe Fresco. So let's just get started. I have my iPad in the portrait mode. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Create New, and under Digital, I'm going to click on Current Screen Size. Now I do have a reference image for this. So I'm just going to show you the reference image. This is from Unsplash. And the artist's name is Charles Deluvio. I will leave a link for you to download this in case you want it. You can bring it into your artboard by clicking on Images and Photos. That is once you have downloaded it onto your device, and you can bring it in like that. I'm obviously going to adjust it to make it as big as I want. And obviously I want it to be a little thicker, so I'm going to do that. Bring it in and click on Done. Now go on top of layer. Let's just quickly sketch it out. Go into your brushes, sketching and pencil. That should be turned on by default. Let's just go there and quickly make the outline of your papaya. It's okay, you don't have to be perfect. As you can see, I'm just making this like that. You'll be on a separate layer. Okay, that's it. Now go back to your image layer and hide it. And you have the papaya shape ready. Super simple and basic, isn't it? Now you can add a watercolor texture to this. I'll leave a link to download the watercolor texture as well. Once you have downloaded it, bring it into your artboard. You can press on these images here. I have mine saved under files. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it up from there. It comes like this. So I'm going to hold this handle and turn it around to make it around 90. And if it doesn't snap over there, I'll show you a setting in a minute. Use your corners to pull it all the way up and click on Done. For the snapping, you have to click on this box right here. Click on snapping and select whichever you want, 45 or 90, and make sure this is turned on. Okay, so now you can't see the sketch, so I'm going to go into levels and make sure you turn this into multiply. And now here you can adjust the strength of the watercolor paper. I'm just going to keep it at full so that it looks much nicer and very textury. So now you have to draw everything below this paper, only then you get the effect on your watercolor. So go back here and now click on a new layer. Let's keep the sketch there, just like that. Okay, so now let's start drawing. So the main things for this are colors, and as soon as you imported an image, your colors would have been saved under recents and you see the colors. If you don't see this, don't worry. You just need to adjust the setting. That is, click on settings here, go to app settings. In general, you see auto create color palette, and this should be turned on. So if you didn't get the color palette, go ahead and turn this on and bring the image back in, and you will automatically get the colors. But we don't really need these colors. I mean, you can do without it as well. Just choose some orange, bright orange and red and stuff like that, and then it should work fine. Now I'll go into my watercolor brushes. I'll go into watercolor. So I'm going to click on wash flat. And my setting is at 512, that's the highest, so you can see it's too big. So I'm going to bring it down a notch, maybe make it 100. Let's check it out. This is too thin, about 250s. That should be okay. You can also click and hold and then type in whatever you want. When I say 242, you don't have to keep it 242. You can keep it any number that you want. I'll quickly show my flow, which is at 100. The water flow is at 27. It's actually, I haven't changed much when it comes to that. You can use your two fingers to undo. And now let's start painting this thing. And I have my reference image, so I'm just going to keep it around me. You can also keep it right here if you want, next to you, so that you can see what's happening. Now let's go ahead and paint this. Basically, let's start off from the center. I want an orange center, so I'm going to go ahead and pick some light orange like this, and I'm going to quickly color it off like that. And I'm not putting too much pressure. I don't want it to be too dark. And I think I don't want it here, so I'll use my eraser and just erase it off. It's okay with these blank things, doesn't matter. Next, I'll go into some yellow. I actually don't like this color palette, so what I'm going to do is click on that button here, arrow, so it hides it. And I'll choose my own colors, by the way. And next up, I see that there is a bit slightly orangish yellow, maybe a bit more. So this is the main circle which chooses which color you want. And this is the one which chooses like the brightness, saturation and stuff like that. So I'm going to keep it up here and probably try to make it this orange. If you want information on that, it's 45, 100 and 100. And if you want to get the same color, you just have to click and hold and then type in the number. So I'm going to go ahead, eraser, go to your brush again. And I'm going to try and add a bit here. Oh, pixel brush, it's in pencil, sorry. Yeah, and so you see it's mixing very nicely, and that's exactly what I want. I want some yellow to be mixed in here, and I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. On the top, I want this to be a little pale, and I'm going to add a bit paler color over here, like that. Now I want some really nice reddish color, I guess. Bring it a bit down and make sure you pull this all the way here so it's red, and you can go ahead and add the red right here. We can now switch to a watercolor brush. If you the other brush that is basic watercolor, that's good too, and I think I want this a bit darker. That's good. You see, I'll undo, and I'll undo this as well. I'll go back into watercolor, wash flat, and give it a bit of color over here, like that. Now I want some yellow again, so I'm going to go, and this time I'm going to make it really bright, 54, 91, and 100, and I will give some yellow right here. I don't want to go towards the end here because I want to retain some greenish, yellowish thingy. So I'll go ahead and I'll go into my all and recent colors, and I can see the colors over here. I want this color, this beige color, 39, 11, and 95. I'm going to go ahead and give that to the edge over here. And I'm going to try and make sure I can make it like within the, as much as possible within the, lines. That's okay. And now I'll go into my red again, and I'll try to make it a little darker like this, and I'm going to try and give some here like this part, because I feel like this should be a bit more red like that. Okay, and here a bit like this. You can give a bit in the center if you want. Okay, that's good. I'll click and hold my sketch and bring it up so that I can see the sketch now. Now go back to your watercolor layer, and now we'll go ahead and choose a green. Let's see if we have a green. We do have a green, and we want this dark one. And now I'm going to choose this watercolor round detail brush because I think that'll work better. And so we're going to go ahead and give a green color edge to this, and you see it's kind of mixing up here. That's fine because we're going to erase this part here. We just want a little bit greenish color when it is at the edge here, and you don't have to give this green everywhere, just in some places like that. I'm going to come back and do a bit more green. I'll show you exactly why, and make sure you give some green over here as well on the top. Okay, I'm going to hide the sketch, pressing my I button to just take a look at what's happening. Okay, that's good. I'll go back into the watercolor layer and probably give a bit more here. Okay, all good. Now I'll go back to my eraser tool and I'll delete the excess off. You can adjust the size of the eraser here, small or big, and do what fits you. I'm going to use the sketch to guide me. Okay, once you're done with that, make sure you go uncheck the sketch and you see that you have a shape of a papaya. So I'll uncheck the sketch for now because I want to make sure that this has an edge. So I'll go back to this layer down here, plus, so that it's behind this watercolor layer. I'll go back to my brush and use that green, and I'm going to go ahead and add, watercolor brush. This was the watercolor round detail set at 48. So I'm going to go ahead and add a bit like that, but I'm not going to make it like everywhere. And let's see, the bottom part would be nice if it had some. You don't have to give an entire outline. I wouldn't recommend that you do that as well. Okay, now I want you to go back into the watercolor layer here and add some darker green here. Put a bit of pressure so that, it's a bit darker. Like for example here, I think it could do with some dark green as well. Anywhere that I see that it's too sharp, I'm just going to go and add. I think that's fine. Now it's time to add the seeds. So I'm going to bring back my sketch because I want to see where the seeds are supposed to be. and I will click on plus and create a new layer. Now it's time to add some seeds, so I'll go here and click on black because they seem to be like black in color. So you can choose any brush, and what we could do is we could go ahead and use basic watercolor, and let's see the size. The size is a bit big. I'll keep it at 90s, undo, and we're going to go ahead and make some blobs like this. You don't want to put too much pressure here. You have to be a little, it has to be a little lighter. Now let's go into watercolor wash flat and try to make more like that, so that it very light. I'm not adding pressure at all, and I'm going to stick within this area, and you have to keep some white spaces and stuff so that and we're going to go into a different layer now, and I'll choose watercolor round detail, and now we're going to go ahead and make some seeds. So you see the papaya seeds are really tiny, so we're going to go ahead and add some really black seeds as much as we can. Going to leave some space for the orange color thing that we have to draw, and I also want some lighter brown, something like that. No, that's too light, so I'm going to bring it down a notch. Let's see if we have a color here. No, they do have two blacks, so I'll use this other black that they have mentioned, 0015. Let's see if that works. Let's add some of that as well. And then they have one which is this bluish one, 214, 97 and 15, and I'm going to add that as well. And then we'll add the black. Obviously we need some tint on it, so you can use the gray that we just chose and add a slight tint. So if you don't see it, do you see it? A slight tint on everything. You don't have to do it for everything, but try to do it for as many as you can, so that there's a bit of shine. We can also add white, which will show up much better, I guess, but I'm just going to add that right now. Now it's time to add the orange, and this is optional, by the way. You don't really have to do it, but I'm going to go and try it anyway. We have to choose some really light pale orange, so you can just choose the pale orange that I have here, 22, 67 and 95. And then in here we're going to go ahead and draw something like this. I don't know how this is going to turn up, to be honest. Let's turn off the sketch and look at it. I actually don't like it at all, because I want the background is very light. So let's make this yellow and try it out, because I think I kind of don't like the whole look that it was giving. Right? With all the things, let's uncheck the sketch to make sure we can see what's happening. If you don't like it, we can always go ahead and edit it off, so don't worry about it. And obviously hold this so that you have pure water, and you can probably try to blend it in a little bit so that it doesn't look so sharp, and can use the water. And if you feel like this is not your cup of tea, you can just uncheck it. And then in here I feel like I'm missing something. Let's go to white and then click on new layer, obviously, and let's try to give it a bit of that. What I mean is, I'm going to uncheck that so that you can see it. Go back to the white layer. I'm just going to give a bit like this, but obviously I'm not going to do it completely. I'm going to use my brush here and try to pull it all the way till here, slightly white, and then this one as well, this one as well. Make it okay. Let's uncheck the sketch and take a look, because I feel like it might have been too white over here. Yeah, you're right. So you can actually go back here and erase this off, and now use your brush, hold it, and then I want some orange bits on there, so I'm going to go ahead and use the orange, this one, just to mix it in like that. Okay, I think that should be okay. I think that's good. If you want, you can do the papaya even more, the seeds even more nicer by going into your pixel brushes, and you can go into ink and Belgian comics and make sure it's on a different layer above the actual layer, and oops, black please, and you can make it darker like that over here and there, so that you know it kind of looks like the darker bits as well in the like that. Okay, and after this, once we are done, and if you want, add a bit more of the green part, but I'm done with that. So now it's time to add some splashes. Go to a different layer. Make sure you always go to a different layer. Hang on, there's a stroke here. Go to a different layer. Let's go into watercolor brushes and go into watercolor wet splatter, and this setting is at 512, the highest. The flow is at 60. You can reduce it if you want, and this one water flow is 60. So I'm going to go ahead and add some. This is too much. This is again too much. This takes a bit of time to get what you want, but then I actually want this. Click and hold and bring it all the way down, and so you can see it's up here. You can add as many as you want. So it's up to you, but I'm going to go back into the layer with the green part here and select the green. I'm going to make sure I have a, oops. I think you can give green instead of black and it'll look nice. Anyway, watercolor round detail. I'm going to add a bit of details because I feel like it's not as saturated as I would like it to be. It's not that colorful as I wanted it to be. But anyway, so, and that's it. You can add more color in here as well, like go ahead and give some red, and you can use the same watercolor detail brush that you have because it puts in a lot more color than it normally would. You see this? And you can give more color to that, and yeah, make it more bright, more colorful, whatever you want. And once you're ready, you can click on share, publish and export, export as, and you can export as a PNG or JPEG or whatever you want, and click on export. You can also watch the time-lapse video by clicking on this and previewing time-lapse, so you can see what happened right here. So that's it. That's the end of this tutorial, and I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you would like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee on ko-fi.com. You can share your work with me on Instagram, that's at Print Me Some Color or Think Beyond Color. I'll see you in the next video then. Bye bye.